at that point, I figured out what I was made of, and it wasn't very much. I bugged out on my wife. I bugged out on my kids. I started descending deeper and deeper and deeper into dope, and I started rigging up again off and on. I got to the point, my wife, she didn't have money for food for the babies, medicine for the babies, clothes, food for the house, couldn't pay the bills, no gas for the Beecher Brown station wagon I gave her to drive. And I came home from work one day and there was a haul trailer on my front driveway. And I saw a pastor's wife that she and I both knew. And they were both carrying stuff in and out of the house, furniture, all that kind of thing. And asked her what's going on. And she said, Donnie, I can't do this anymore. I've tried and I've tried, and I keep waiting on you to make a change and to become the man that I need you to be and step up. And you haven't done it. And you'd have thought that would have humbled me a little bit, but it didn't even come close. Man, I got indignant and I said, fine, I don't need y'all anyway, go on. And I watched those two ladies struggle to load furniture and all kinds of heavy stuff, and me sitting over there on my backside, the sorry man that I was at that time. And until they finally closed up, I had the last piece in there, got all the keys loaded in the vehicle. The triplets were one. My oldest son was almost 5 years old. And I remember them pulling out of the driveway, and my son had his face pressed up against the back windshield of that station wagon, and he was just beating on it. No, Daddy, no, you come with us, no. And I let him drive off. And her parents at that point had just accepted a pastorate in a little town in Louisiana called Oak Grove. And all she needed to do was to go be close to them where she could get some help with those babies and have a place to live. And in all of my wisdom, and the best planning I could do, I thought, great, now I'm free to do what I really want. I could live life like I want to. And it didn't take me but about a year. That was 1980, so I was about 24, 23, 24. Pretty young guy. And I remember it wasn't uncommon for us to, for me and the people I hung with at that point in time. It was just a flop house that I was living in, and it wasn't uncommon for me to be passed out on the floor or passed out in my vehicle in the driveway. And one day I was sitting in that little flop house, and I was in this chair. There was nobody else in that house, which was unusual. There wasn't no music playing. That was unusual. No TV. Nobody expected in. I wasn't expected to go anywhere. I was just sitting there in the quiet, absolutely out of the ordinary. And all of a sudden, I began to sense that I wasn't alone in that room. And I grew up in a Christian home, remember, and I knew the difference between the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness, and I certainly knew who I had been serving. And at that point, I was stoned all the time. I was rigging up 2 or 3 times a day. I lost my job, no vehicle, no nothing. And I sat there and I began to feel this presence in the room. And at first, it kind of scared me. I thought, man, this is the enemy. This is it. You've finally gone too far, Don. And was kind of trying to ignore what was going on. And I didn't get up and run. I didn't do anything, but this sense of a presence just kept getting stronger and stronger. And as it did, I began to discern that it wasn't something evil. It wasn't something ugly or dangerous. I sensed that actually I was kind of feeling these waves of love and acceptance and forgiveness. And I immediately felt this rush of relief, because I just knew that this had to be God coming into this room. And so I was relieved. At the same time, I almost instantly, I got angry at him, and I began to scream at him, and I cursed at him. I was saying, what in the blank are you doing here in this place? You've already taken my wife, you've taken my kids. I don't have a job anymore. I don't have a car. I don't have my health anymore. I got nothing. Why are you here? Get the blank away from me. I'm screaming this stuff towards God. And I fully expected him to just descend and walk away from me, but he didn't. I mean, that sensation was getting stronger and stronger and more powerful. And I was just feeling love and acceptance and forgiveness. That's the only thing I can describe it as. And before long, I wasn't screaming and ranting and railing. My hands were falling down by the side of my chair. And I was looking up and I was crying to him and I'm saying, God, what do you want with me? Why are you here? And then the next thing I knew, I was on my knees and I'm saying, God, is there anything you can do to help me? And then I fell on my face. And I remember it was about the noon hour at that point because I looked at the clock right over there above a window. And I mean, the presence of God was so heavy in that place, Jason. And I just began to cry out to him and I was saying, God, you've got to help me. You've got to save me. I'm going to die just like this. I know I am unless you do something. And from that point, about noon until the presence of God receded enough until I could actually lift my head and look again, it was 7 o'clock that night. And I'm sure to this moment, I was literally in the presence of God himself for 7 hours. And when I raised my head and eventually got to my hands and knees, I felt like I had lost 50 pounds and my heart was free. My heart was light. I had joy. I didn't have the sense of fear and foreboding and all that kind of stuff. And that, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So that's, I have a very similar story. I had an encounter like that. So, but what I hear you saying is that in your worst moment, in the worst, where you were as far gone as you could consider anybody going, perfect love and acceptance showed up in your life and didn't leave.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Refused to leave.
That might mess with some people's theology, man, that say you got to clean yourself up before you come,